Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pondcast brought to you by Webs Online. I am your host, Justin Skaggs, and today we are going to talk all about sludge. Let's get into our conversation with Pete Gallo. We have Pete Gallo back on the podcast because during one of our conversations, he was trying to explain to me, and hopefully by the end of this podcast, I'll fully understand it, sir. Sludge as just a concept, something that like you attack or you try to create, and it's really important right now during the fall season because anything that isn't turned into sludge can't be absorbed, and then therefore will make for a dirtier, messier pond through the winter, dirtier, messier pond in the spring, and if I'm not mistaken, it might even create some sort of like toxins for fish and things like that. Pete, I'm just gonna let you take it away. Welcome back to the podcast, and thank you very much for your time. Let's see if I can figure this out.
Well, Justin, thanks for having me back. So let's talk some preventative maintenance as far as pond sludge is concerned.
Right.
Yes, pond sludge is toxic to fish, so we want to find a way to get it out of the pond or absorbed and processed as soon as possible. Now, fall season, we have a lot of organic solids dropping into the pond as far as pine needles, leaves, twigs, and sticks that may be dropping into the pond. Now, we want all those organic solids to break down as soon as possible. So one thing that we can do to jumpstart and speed up that process is by adding beneficial bacteria to your pond, which comes in either a powder form, you can get it in a liquid form as well. I typically, when I put some in the pond, usually some people put about a teaspoon in every week. Some people put 2 in every week, depending on how much is falling into your pond. So I usually like to stick it in the pond right near the skimmer box. So the skimmer box will absorb it right away and send it right up to your waterfall area. So if you have a biofalls box with filter pads inside, the filter pads are actually creating an area for that beneficial bacteria to colonize, so that when all the nutrients are making their way into the skimmer box and going through your pond tubing and recirculating back up to your waterfall, that beneficial bacteria is basically creating a trap for all the excess, buildup in the pond. So when it's creating that trap, it's either A, getting all that sludge caught into your filter pads, or B, it's also giving an area for your aquatic plants to actually technically have a salad bar and feast on all that sludge and use that to actually grow and possibly even release oxygen into the water. So there's certain plants that are really great for filtrating that sludge and using it to grow, and there's others that actually will take some of that sludge. For instance, there's a plant here which I actually have right next to me. I had some in my backyard I could show you guys. This is parrot's feather, and when this parrot's feather usually keeps in a marginal area in the pond, when that's absorbing nutrients from the pond water, that is actually sending off these little runners, and these little runners, which almost look like a Christmas tree branch, they're actually putting oxygen back into the water. So that's all part of the ecosystem. Now, a lot of different things can cause pond sludge. Overfeeding your fish, so that anytime uh, you, if you're overfeeding your fish, all that excess food, if that's going right into your skimmer box, that's going to break down into sludge. The more you feed your fish, the more waste the fish are going to give off. That's going to lead to more pond sludge. And as I said earlier, any other sort of droppings or organic materials falling into the pond, these are all just different things that can create that buildup. So we're going to want to try to tackle that buildup basically with just beneficial bacteria and more plants. Plants, plants, plants. And one other thing I'd like to add as far as the excess buildup of sludge inside your pond, what you're going to want to do, and this is another thing I do every season, both spring, summer, fall, and winter, I like to take my pads out of my filter box and give them a good hosing down so that it just preps them for the next season as far as collecting more nutrients and getting them out of the pond and just helping to keep clear water throughout the year. And if you don't have a biofalls filter with filter pads inside, a lot of other pond clients of mine tend to have what are known as pressure filters, which almost look like a little can, and they're usually hidden somewhere near the pond, usually behind a bush or some sort of perennial. And usually give the backwashing on one of those to help clear out the filtration inside and get it prepped for the season.
All right, Pete. Well, thank you so much for taking some time and explaining this to everybody, including me. And obviously, we had a short conversation earlier, but now I think I really understand what it is you were trying to say, and it's just easier to conceptualize sludge more so than the scientific properties of a nitrogen and nitrite cycle. So why don't you tell everyone where they can find you?
You can always find me on Facebook, Instagram, or on the internet at philipond.com, philapond.com, or on Facebook at Philadelphia Waterscapes, or on Instagram as well, again, at Philipond, philapond, and I'm Pete Gallo with Philadelphia Waterscapes.
Excellent, and enjoy the rest of your fall. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, keep those ponds clear. Talk to you guys soon.
Take care. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think it's a visible thing that you can use to gauge the cleanliness of your pond. So I hope that gave some context and some additional information on how a professional pond technician deals with sludge and interacts with it. It's not always a bad thing. Sometimes you want to get your bio waste to that point so that the plants can eat it and that it can get digested. Other times you really need to get it out of there because there's not enough time coming into winter. And I hope that all makes a little bit more sense. If you guys need any beneficial bacteria or anything that was described in this episode, make sure you go to websonline.com. You can always reach out to us at Pondcast@websonline.com. That is the email for this show. Till next time, take care and enjoy your pond.